Good evening, everyone. It's Moose with the Bucking Hangover. I've got really nothing to say. Let's just hit that intro.
Oh my.
I've got. I don't have very many words. Let's bring in Mike. Mike's with us. There's Mike. Mike has got the Saquon Barkley jersey and the paper bag. I feel like that sends a little bit of a. Are you embarrassed to be a Giants fan or embarrassed to be a Bucs fan?
Well, let's just say that this is my Bucks hat today. And I wear the, you know me, I wear the jerseys of winners. So Giants won. I don't think ever in the past 2 or 3 years anyone's heard the word Giants and winners in the same sentence. But the Bucks made it happen.
I don't think you are wrong about that. I still can't believe the outcome of this game. Bucks going down 32-31 to the New York Giants. Once again, missing a last-minute field goal.
And what were we? We had like an 18-point lead at halftime too?
At least, I believe so. We were up pretty big. I was feeling pretty confident. I think I had the Bucks in maybe one parlay, and I think it was already dead anyway with other games, but feeling pretty good. I know when we talked yesterday, we were feeling great after that Panthers game. We're like, oh, the Bucks are going to be 2-1, no problem. But then, of course, with some of the stuff that happened over the week, Drew Brees going out for a couple weeks. You and I were kind of throwing the playoff word around a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, given that Drew Brees was out, the NFC South is pretty much open. Well, the Saints pretty much handled the Seahawks pretty well, so I think the Saints still have that advantage there. Bridgewater played a bit more conservatively, which the Saints defense held up. Kamara again, being Kamara, but the Buccaneers, let's not use the word playoff and Buccaneers in the same sentence again. I think we got a little bit too excited.
We got really excited.
And that's what happened there.
Well, we got to play the Jim Moore clip. Playoffs!
Don't talk about
We
playoffs?
got that going.
You kidding me? Playoffs?
Gosh. So back over here. We've got a couple of things to talk about. I think there are a few things we should kind of celebrate. I mean, looking at the schedule, I think 5-11 is becoming a reality. We got really excited. We were writing those tickets, writing those passes to the playoffs, and what we saw was a 5-11 team that played well for 1 week. So we have a few good things to talk about. Let's take a look at what went well in the game, and I think far and away the performance of Shaq Barrett again, leading the NFL with 8 total sacks, had 4 sacks alone in the game on Sunday. And honestly, the pass rush looked pretty good, at least for the first half. Not sure what happened in the second half. For sure, some halftime adjustments were made by the Giants. They protected Daniel Jones so much better in the second half. But still, decent pressure, at least enough to rush him on a few throws. Offense, again, it was almost like a tale of two halves. Offense looked pretty good in the first half.
Mike Evans decided to show up finally this season, and big fashion showed up in first half. Let's put it that way. Showed up in the first half. Only one catch in the second half, and that was the catch that set them up for that field goal. We'll get to that shortly. But yeah, Shaq Barrett, actually, believe it or not, he in his contract he has a incentive that if he gets 8 sacks this year, he gets a $250,000 bonus, and he got 8 sacks in 3 games.
Wow.
So I hope he's renegotiating his deal. It's like, if I get 11 sacks or 12, how much am I going to get? So, I mean, that's pretty impressive there. I mean, really, he has no incentive to play the rest of the year, which kind of worries me. So if I was Bucs management, I'd be like, all right, Shaq, you get 16 sacks, you'll get 500,000 or $1 million or something crazy like that, because this guy is playing at an amazing rate out at the edge there.
And it's something that you and I both talked about as we were preparing for the Bucs season. Shaq Barrett really had to live behind Bradley Chubb and Von Miller over in Denver, so really didn't have a chance to shine or be featured as he is right now with the Buccaneers. So I think it was a great addition to bring him in, and we're really starting to see his effect on the game and how he's been able to take games over. And along with that, pretty impressed with the play of Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh. Again, he's been such a presence, and I know I'm going to catch some heat, but I almost don't miss Gerald McCoy. I think
haven't missed him in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, Gerald McCoy misses at least 6 games a year. Nothing about the injuries, but I mean, in a conversation I had with another buddy of ours, I always said about 3 or 4 years ago, I've been saying we need to get rid of that guy. Well, people still think he's good. We could have gotten some value for him, but we had to cut him and got 0 value. We should have gotten rid of him 2 or 3 years ago when people still thought that he was somewhat good. And maybe gotten a 2nd or 3rd round pick, something of value for him. But
ended up with a big goose egg.
But nobody listens to me. So these listeners that are listening to us, appreciate you taking time to listen to me. And maybe one day the Buccaneers management will listen to me, because usually I'm pretty right. I'd say about 60% of the time I'm right every time. So yeah.
Black sexual panther. Is that what you're wearing?
But the other thing is thinking about our pass rushes. We still get Jason Pierre-Paul giving it back. So Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea as well, they've been playing. JPP is just going to add more to that element. So that pass rush is going to be pretty scary with Shaq Barrett as well. Devin White, I know he didn't play. He was injured, so we'll have him back. But I'm very impressed with Shaq Barrett. I was a little concerned because I really thought Noah Spence was going to be our guy there, but he beat him out, and I see why now, and I'm very happy that Mr. Barrett is there.
Going back to the offense, pretty much played pretty well for, I'd say, 3 quarters out of the 4. Some challenges with play calling. I mean, I don't know what Byron Leftwich was thinking. Went super conservative in the second half. Really, it's the first time that I've really not agreed with his play calling. First 2 games, I think he was spot on, even in the loss in week 1. Again, Jameis had a good game. Throwing for over 300 yards. Still
almost
has
400.
Almost 400. He still has
3 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, he's got to have his complimentary interception there. I mean,
it's at least 1, which is fine. As long as the ratio is over 1 to 1, I'm happy. But the guy still, for the love of God, can't hit a guy in stride. All he had to do was hit Mike Evans in stride on that last pass, and it's a touchdown. And Matt Gay's not kicking a field goal. I just can't. I can't. The overthrows, the inaccuracy, the underthrows, it's frustrating. Yeah. It's frustrating, and even those stats are hiding what his true performance is.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been saying it since we drafted him. I mean, go back to his Florida State days. I mean, he had Kelvin Benjamin, made him look good, Kevin O'Leary, some big receivers, and that's what he has here in Tampa is Mike Evans, a big receiver. But when you have one of those speed receivers or one of those receivers that can run like Deshaun Jackson was a perfect example. The day we signed him, I said that was a terrible signing. I mean, not because he's not a great player, it's because he's not going to be able to be hit in stride by Jameis Winston, which obviously we saw that happen. I mean, Fitzpatrick played 4 games, and those were 4 games that Deshaun Jackson looked amazing.
Blew up.
So, I mean, that's why I was a big advocate of the Bucs signing Dez Bryant back when he was a free agent. Big target. He can play the exact same way Mike Evans plays, and that's exactly what Jameis Winston needs. He cannot afford a receiver who's going to sprint down the field. He's never hit him a stride. It's always been one of his weaknesses.
So, of course, we touched upon a few areas where immediate improvement needs to happen if we're going to win more than 5 games this year, and the secondary had a rough time. I know there's not a lot of tape out there on Daniel Jones. I don't know if you're just going to scout Duke tape and watch him play against Clemson to see what his weaknesses are, but my goodness, they look lost at times out there. I think the front 7 looked great for the most part, but once we got to the secondary, once you're looking at middle and down the field throws that he was able to hit wide open receivers, I don't know what was going on with the coverage.
Yeah, I mean, I started Daniel Jones in fantasy this week because historically, as a Bucs fan, I watch a lot of games in my past, and I know the Bucs' weaknesses are always first-time starters and backup quarterbacks. Austin Davises of the world, the Derek Andersons of the world, Cody Pickett's Cody Pickett's. Those are the ones Cody Pickett will always be the guy that got me. He filled in for 49ers. He wasn't even listed as a quarterback on the depth chart. 49er quarterback was Alex Smith, Tim Rattay, and someone else got injured. They pulled Cody Pickett from the special teams to play quarterback against the Bucs, and he beat the Bucs. So that's always been our weaknesses there.
I think one of my favorites was who's quarterbacking for the Redskins now?
Case Keenum.
Oh, yeah. Remember when Case Keenum got his shot with Minnesota? I was blown away. I was like, we just lost to Case Keenum, who was coming in to replace. Was that when Kirk Cousins went down the first time? I don't even. No, that was Teddy Bridgewater. That was Bridgewater. Yeah, we didn't even have to face Bridgewater. Case Keenum comes in and basically to play for the first time ever in his career, and lights it up against the Buccaneers. So the stat that we have, I think it's since 2000.
Or when the Jets were playing the Bucs several years ago, and they called Vinny Testaverde to come out of retirement play one game.
Yeah,
he beat the Bucs.
And he beat the Bucs. Complimentary win. Thanks for playing. But the stat is since 2011, which the Bucs have been bad since 2005 or 6, whenever Gruden was let go, basically 13-3 against rookie quarterbacks. That is mind-boggling. How I don't know if that just means.
Yeah, Geno Smith. Remember that when Geno Smith? I want to say his first start was against the Bucs, and he beat the Bucs.
Yeah, I mean 13-3. I just don't know if that's inept coaching or is it just a coincidence is it just bad luck? I'd like to see how other franchises. Maybe that's what we'll do some research for next week. How other franchises have done in the same time period, but 13-3 is egregiously bad. That the rookie quarterbacks have that great of a record against a professional sports team in their first start. Now, granted, the Bucs haven't been great in that time period. However, I don't know. It's still beyond me how Daniel Jones found a way to beat us. So, moving into... We talked about second half adjustments and the offensive play calling. I think that goes without saying.
Going back to second half adjustments,
yeah.
This kind of gives me a flashback. The only thing that would have made this game, Daniel Jones' game better and his entire... just everything better, is if on the way out, he would have looked at the locker room and pointed at the camera guy and said, "You like that? You like that?" Because that's exactly what Kirk Cousins did to us. We were up by, I think, over like 24-0 at halftime. We failed to make any second half adjustments, played conservatively in the second half, and Redskins came back and beat us.
Yep.
And that's when Kirk Cousins did the famous meme/gif. You like that? You like that?
It's a Bucs life. It's just another day of being a Buccaneers fan, and again, hopefully they revisit the offensive play calling. You cannot get conservative. I think John Tortorella's old adage back from his Lightning days, "Safe is death." We got to keep the pedal to the metal. The offense was looking great and in gear, so I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was like a courtesy. It's like, we're getting too far ahead. It's his first game. Let's relax. Let's be good hosts. Here in Tampa, and for the 50% of this crowd that is Giants fans, we want to make sure they have a good time. So let's make sure we're good hosts. That's how I take that all the time when we start taking our foot off the accelerator. I think it's no surprise, though, the big overarching story, and maybe it shouldn't be, but again, since it's been part of our Buccaneers fan experience for so long, what went fucking terrible? Once again, the kicking, missing 2 extra points and the game-winning field goal at the end, all in the 30-yard range.
And another courtesy field goal, too.
Yeah. No, it went 4 out of 5, but it's those 5 points that would have made a difference. The 2 missed extra points and the field goal at the end. Why? And nothing against Matt Gay, and he had a stellar career in Utah. That's a tough place to kick. But we're here we are with a second draft kicker. Has anyone else even drafted a kicker in the time that Jason Light has been GM for the Buccaneers? I mean, can you think of any other kicker that's been drafted in that timeline? Maybe I can't even think of any good rookie or first or second year kickers that maybe are drafted. Well, we'll have to look that up to see. But two kickers in a 5-year period, and maybe less. Like Guire might have been even within 4 years. So I have no idea what is going on with that. So just to kind of go into what's going on with the kicking game, and I think we lost Mike. We'll try to reconnect with him in a moment. But again, kind of what I wanted to look at our kicking history, which is truly spectacular. And we're trying to connect with Mike again. I think we lost him on Skype. But I had to put up the graphic of our kicking history and how it has been over the last 15 years, I think, at least mid-2000s. You'll see there on the screen pictures of some of our great kickers over time. With some of that, you'll see Nick Falk, Mike Nugent, the amazing Guayo, Matt Gay's right here in the middle, Connor Barth, one of our favorites. I forgot to put Cairo Santos. So the Buccaneers kicking game since Matt Bryant, and you have to keep in mind that since Matt Bryant, before then we had 6 years or 7 years of Grammatica, and before then we had another 7 years of Michael Houston. So we had stable kicking for about 15 years or so. 15 years of stable kicking, and yeah, I don't really know what's going on. Alright, we're trying to connect with Mike again. Looks like we've connected. Hey, Mike. Welcome back, Mike.
Hey. Excuse the technical difficulties.
It's all good. It's all good. Mike is back. We're just going off on the kicking history of the Buccaneers, and let me see what we can do here to get you to look at that screen. Wow, we are having some challenges with Skype today.
Yeah, I think it was connecting between my phone and the computer at the same time, okay. So I deleted it off my my phone, so hopefully we wouldn't have any other issues here.
All right, thanks. So I think I'm sharing my screen with you, and we have our Hall of Fame for the kickers right there in front of you. So since Matt Bryant, and I forgot.
Hold on. Connor Barth wasn't that bad. We forget about him.
Yeah, but he was still part of the laundry list. The laundry list of kickers since we've had since Matt Bryant. They're all there. I forgot to put a picture of Cairo Santos on there. That's the only guy we're missing, and he's not on the list.
And Santos was not bad either.
But
he's starting right now with another team. What team is he starting with? Tennessee, maybe? Who is he with right now?
Yeah, he's with Tennessee. And then Chandler Catanzaro is actually starting for the Jets, I think. So, we have kickers that are starters elsewhere. But here's our kicker Hall of Fame. Connor Barth, Nick Folk. You see Mike Nugent there. Ryan Lindell. Patrick Murray. We had him for a couple of years. But I was kind of talking about how it's amazing that
Chandler Catanzaro's name in the league right now.
Oh, is he really not?
He was on the Jets, but I guess
he didn't make the cut.
Ryan Lindell.
Oh,
hey, you're forgetting a name.
Who am I forgetting?
Lawrence Tynes.
Wow.
Mercer, man.
Oh yes. Jeez. Yeah, when Mercer struck the Bucs, that's how you knew the Bucs were a quality franchise. Was it Lawrence Tynes and who was the offensive lineman? Carl Nix, who we paid like $100 million to. Couldn't play for the Buccaneers because of Mercer. So you saw our Hall of Fame, our kicking Wall of Fame there, and I was talking about how truly amazing it was that before Matt Bryant, of course, the Bucs were stable kicking for about 15 years. You had Matt Bryant for 6 or 7 years. You had Grammatica for about 6 years. And even before then, you had Michael Houston, who set a lot of the kicking records before Grammatica came along for the Buccaneers.
Oh, yeah.
So about 15 years of at least solid kicking. I mean, to be honest with you, when Michael Houston was on the team, field goals were basically all the scoring the Buccaneers were doing anyway. When we were still kind of up and coming and going through the draft process with Tony Dungy. So yeah, that's been. I just wanted to highlight the Buccaneers kicking history and kind of take a laugh at it. I guess. Hopefully, I don't know if kicking is going to be an issue as we move into week 4, into traveling over to California to play the Los Angeles Rams.
I think we're going to have a lot more issues than just kicking when it comes to the Rams.
Yeah, wanted to look at some of the final stats here for the Giants game again. I don't want to be fooled by Jameis Winston, almost 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, the big story right here is Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, 2 passing, 2 rushing touchdowns. How many points did he score for you?
In our league, he scored about 30 points, a little bit over 30.
Jeez, and Evan Engram had a monster game as well. He was that favorite target of Jones.
And Sterling Shepard as well. Sterling Shepard had roughly about 7 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown.
Oh, we had almost 500 yards of total offense. Yeah, Rojo had a good game too. 80 yards rushing on 14 carries. So I'll take that any day. And he looked effective for a strong running. But yeah, there you were going into the half, up 18. Going into the half, and we saw that chipping away, and there it is at the end. Daniel Jones was with the Red Sea parting, 4th and goal, being able to run it straight in.
Yep.
So I think that is it for all. Thank you so much for.
But hold on, before we go off on the Bucs here, what about the Giants' outlook? As a Giants fan, going a little bit off topic here, but do you think as Giants fans here that they get to they're going to have a little bit of a better outlook, a little bit more like feeling a little bit more confident? I mean, what do you think? If you were a Giants fan, would you be pretty ecstatic?
I think my concern is Saquon Barkley being out for 4 to 8, anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks. I think it was great that Daniel Jones was able to carry the team, and I'm hoping that there's no sophomore slump next week, or that maybe it was just the competition they played. Again, the Bucs secondary probably in the lower third of the league. I'm curious to see though. I think I want him to succeed. I'm a big fan. Let's see what their schedule looks like. They got the Redskins coming up, which is a winnable game. They've got the Vikings at home. I think they lose that one.
Well, they'll have a little bit tougher competition there with Josh Norman and Landon Collins in the secondary. So
sure,
we'll see.
Washington's been playing tough games, but they didn't look great on Monday Night Football, and they made Mitchell Trubisky look like a Pro Bowler. Think they can? They may hang with the Vikings. They're in New England. That's a loss. They should be able to beat the Cardinals at home.
They beat the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl, so see what happens. Yeah,
maybe it's the beginning truly of the Daniel Jones era, taking out the Patriots in over there in Foxborough. They've got a couple tough games. I'm thinking 6-10 for them. Maybe 7-9 if Saquon Barkley comes back and they make a run, but their schedule is kind of a little challenging.
So the Rams game, we got them this weekend, which kind of sucks because they're there on Sunday, and I get to California on Monday. If I would have known they were there, I would have gone there a day early to be able to go to that game.
That is a shame. That's okay. You're be traveling over to Seattle this year. Yep. Be right in the Hawks' nest in the middle of it all. Watching Russell Wilson drop probably 40 points on us.
Right, that's fine. I'll be I got a Russell Wilson jersey, so maybe I'll wear that under my Bucs jersey. So
excellent. See, I like that you plan ahead. That's the best part is get those jerseys ordered on our Chinese websites. Get any possible team because we know we'll be supporting them no matter what, just to stay safe in the away state. Well, that's not true. I think they feel bad for us. They probably are amazed to see Buccaneers fans. That's usually the reaction we get when we travel abroad. So, anything else? Anything coming up on your end, Mike?
No, I think I'm good for now. I will I'm going to go have a 2-year-old son. I think I might take him to kick some field goals this weekend coming up.
Can never start too soon.
So when maybe he'll kick for the Bucs and be ready.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging with us. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We'll get those figured out. Glad we were able to connect with Mike again. Have a great evening. It's been the Buc'ing Hangover. We'll see you next week for Week 4, Bucs and Rams. You can bet we'll be crying about that one. Take care.
Touchdowns, Hamilton, they fire those cannons.